Everybody, welcome. This is the Marshfield Zoning Board of Appeals meeting, October 14th, 2025. It's a hybrid meeting, so if you're dialing in, please use *6 to mute and unmute yourself. You're being taped by MCTV, just so you know. And we'll start with a roll call.
Larry Keane here.
Brian Murphy here.
Jean Lee here.
Eric Murphy here.
Mac Brothers here.
No JJ yet? All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so.
And Brian, I can barely hear you.
All right, let me. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Thank you.
I was just being completely mature as usual. So we're going to start with the. I'm going to start with the continued hearings that we're going to move to the 28th. So 2534, the Jetty LLC, 278 Ocean Street. We're going to move to 1028. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Jean Lee, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
2541, Michael Mazzini, 2105 Ocean Street. We're going to move to 1028. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Jean Lee, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
2542, Matthew Bruce, trustee, Bruce Family Realty Trust. We're going to move to 1028. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Jean Lee, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
2542A, Matthew Bruce, trustee, Bruce Family Realty Trust, 8 Ocean Street. Going to move to 1028. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Jean Lee, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Thank you. So now we'll start with 2560, Stephen Creed. Come on up. Name and address for the record. Petitioner is seeking a special permit in accordance with 305-1012 of the Marshfield Municipal Code to construct a 34-foot by 12-foot by 8-foot second floor dormer to add windows to the front of the dwelling on the property located at 162 Caswell Street, which is further identified in the assessor's maps as being on parcel M050202 and located in the R3 zoning district. Go ahead.
All right.
No, you just talk. No, you actually turned it off. See the red light?
It'll turn green.
Yeah,
You're good.
now you're live.
There we go. All right, thank you. Thanks for your time tonight. I appreciate it. So, yeah, just in general terms, the house is a family house that was built in 1950. And in 1960, my parents added on a dormer to the rear of the house for 2 bedrooms and a bath on the upstairs. It's a small cape, 24 by 34. What I'm looking to do is add a dormer towards the front of the house. It's not going to increase any more the footprint of the house, and it's going to stay at the same height that it is today. So the setbacks and things like that are not affected whatsoever. But that'll allow us a little bit more square footage on the 2 bedrooms upstairs. And the dimensions are right here on the original application. So it's roughly going to be 34 wide, 12 deep, and 7 to 8 feet high as you get towards the peak.
It's all pretty much self-contained.
Yeah.
Andrew, you have anything other than your notes?
No, those pretty much explain it.
Everything,
It's
yeah.
a non-conforming house, non-conforming property, and they are not adding any building area, they're not doing anything that's gonna make it any more non-conforming.
Thank you. Bob, anything?
No comments.
Anything from the board?
Nope, looks great to me.
Anything from the audience? Seeing that there's none. I'm going to move that we close. No,
We're good?
2560, 162 Caswell Street. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Jean Lee, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
I'm going to move that the board vote to grant the petitioner's application for a special permit, subject to the conditions. This project will require a building permit and a certificate of occupancy. No as-built will be required for this project by the building department. Based on the finding that the applicant's proposal to construct a 34-foot by 12-foot by 8-foot second floor dormer to add windows to the front of the dwelling on the property located at 162 Caswell Street, as generally shown on the 3 hand-drawn sketch plans of proposed dormer, front elevation, and as-built by Stenbeck and Taylor dated December 30, 2024. Richard Savant, PLS, meets the special permit criteria sections of 1012 bylaw. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Ryan Murphy, aye.
Jean Lee, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
Mary Brothers, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Good luck.
Good luck. Anyone that just came in, we had continued several hearings. If you're here for those, I don't know. Let me get over there.
This is the next one.
Yeah. We have this one that just did.
Yeah. Yes. The jetty, 278 Ocean, Michael Mazzini, 2105 Ocean, Matthew Bruce, 8 Ocean, and Matthew Bruce, 8 Ocean. Okay. Just don't want you to sit if you didn't have to. All right, so now we have uh, 2561, Chacole Bergstrom. Hi. Petitioner is seeking a variance in accordance with 305-1011 of the Marshfield Municipal Code for relief from 305-1107. H, to establish a one-chair hairdressing station at the property located at 1028 Ocean Street, which is further identified on the assessor's maps as being on parcel K101608, located in the R3 zoning district. Go ahead.
Thank you for having me. So recently, I've been living in the house for about 8 years now, and I'm a hairstylist. And recently, my mom just got diagnosed with cancer, and so I've now become her caregiver. So I was just hoping that I would be able to take care of her, take care of my own daughter, and be able to take some clients at the home while I'm just trying to like navigate through this.
Okay. Andrew, do you have anything to add other than your notes?
Yeah, I met with Jacole, to go over this. She understood, we tried to figure out a way that it would be possible, but it's not possible without the granting of a variance, for that condition. H, that says, barber shops and beauty parlors aren't considered home occupations. This is one chair, so it's not necessarily a barber shop or a beauty parlor per se, as those would, usually go, but it is that same type of use. So that's why I recommended, really that the only option would be a variance. The one good thing I thought about it, that she had going for her there was that there is on Ocean Street an existing curb cut right here in the sidewalk. So she does have the ability to create a parking space here, and entrance separate from Breakwater Court, so that there wouldn't be any impact on the actual residential neighborhood. If she had somebody coming in off of Ocean Street, and, that does kind of fit in with what goes on along the majority of Ocean Street to either side of her. That was pretty much where we left it when she decided she'd apply for the variance. She would get that even before moving forward with any other requests for a special permit, I believe.
Okay. Bob, do you have anything to add, other than?
No, I disagree with Andrew that this isn't a barber shop or a beauty salon if they add this use. It is. It might be one chair, but it is. It's up to the board what to decide, but, I've given you the standards on a variance, and, personal financial hardships, unfortunately, do not justify variances.
It's a medical hardship, it's not a financial hardship.
The hardships have to relate to the soil shape or the topography of the lot, not a medical or other hardship.
So,
Do we have any,
go ahead.
okay, thank you, Brian. Do we have any neighbors that have anything to say?
Any neighbors here to speak on this or online? None?
So I'll just tell you where I am on this. I'm sorry about your mother, that's terrible, but I was put on this board by the selectmen to uphold the rule of law here, and it just does not qualify for a variance, and we don't have a use variance for it either, for a special permit. And this is why we need to change our zoning laws,
Agreed.
because I can't vote to break the law. I just can't. I just got put on this board. But I feel for you, and I'm sure if your neighbors don't mind, and I don't know that I like the fact that you're gonna have entrance on that busy road, though, either. And I was on Breakwater Court this morning, checking out your property, and that's a pretty clogged up road, but I just can't vote for this. I can't do it. I'm sorry. But I think that we should do something about our zoning laws so that we could vote for this legally.
I agree.
I have a question, is, you sound like your story may actually, unfortunately, not be a permanent request, but maybe a temporary request.
Yes.
Does that make any difference in the ask to have a one-chair operation as a home occupation if it's a temporary rather than permanent?
Go ahead, Bob.
Bob?
Once a variance is granted, it runs with the land and it's permanent.
But again, do you need a variance to do something on a temporary basis?
He's asking, I think, something like we
You
did.
need a variance to engage in this use in any degree. And the proper remedy is, I think, as Mr. Lynch and Mr. Murphy have pointed out, is to change the bylaw, if you think this type of a use can be accommodated as a home occupation.
Yeah, it's just, needs to go on the table. Anyone else?
Now, would you just be cutting hair there, or would you be doing coloring and cleaning and all that stuff? Is the Board of Health chimed in on this with you at all?
The Board of Health doesn't oversee me, it's the State Board of Cosmetology.
Okay.
So they would have to come in and, yeah.
Oh, would there be any, like, plumbing alterations or
No,
anything there? It's just
no.
simply a chair
Nope.
in
It's
place?
just putting a chair in.
Yep, exactly, yep.
Okay. Oh,
No, it's just,
We can't do it anymore.
no, first we'd have to do this, and then she'd come back for the second one.
I really feel for the situation. I'm actually traveling because my mother starts cancer treatment tomorrow, and I'm going to go be with her. But, 2/3 of the town of Marshfield has voted to create this prohibition on this type of use, and I feel very, very reluctant to. I can't actually. I just can't go against what the people of this town have already declared.
Again, this is just a tough situation, we just don't have it in the table to work with. So,
And COVID has changed things substantially. At one point, it was virtually impossible to get a haircut unless you were going to somebody that had a single chair somewhere. And so it may be a need, this could be something that, the change in zoning to be allowed.
Is there anything that I could do to like push forward for that?
Yes.
Could I
Meet with the planner.
meet with the town planner,
meet with the town?
and we actually have on the upcoming town meeting, we have they're called citizens petitions
Okay,
to change the bylaw. I put 100 signatures, Bob?
No, town planner can put
10
this,
on the annual.
10.
it's 10 on the annual, it's
And 100
100 on the special.
Yeah.
But I mean, the town planner, if she went in and made the case that maybe
He could
single
move
chair,
the
could be excluded from the definition of a beauty shop, and you could do this as a home occupation, maybe.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Doesn't seem like it would have a large impact on the neighborhood.
No,
I think everybody kind of feels badly, but,
right, but I think you could get some people behind this,
Okay.
Yeah.
We just don't have the remedy.
that would be the spring, too. So it's not forever. If you can get the planning board, you should meet with the planner,
Okay.
see
so-
whether you can convince them, because they may toe the line for you.
Okay.
They
So
may
meet with the
present
planning
it,
board,
yeah,
that would be my
Greg
next
might be able
step.
to present this to town meeting himself,
Okay,
all right?
all right,
All
thank you.
Bob.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question real quick? Are use variances, they can only be granted if there's a soil or topography hardship
Yep,
for use variances?
absolutely. That's why they're so rare. They're even
Rarer than a regular.
They're even more rare than a dimensional variance. Because it's, I mean, the classic case is a case where someone claimed that they couldn't afford to build a single-family house on a waterfront lot because they had to put a seawall in, and they had to put a very costly foundation in, and that's the classic case. I think they call it the Kirkwood case. But it's rarely the case that the soil conditions, shape, and topography of the lot are gonna create a justification for a use variance.
But I think we should allow, sorry, what was your first name again?
Jukol.
Go to withdraw without prejudice, just
I
in
would
the unlikely
recommend that
event
you not,
she
you
wants to
do
bring it back.
exactly that. Allow her to refile, depending on what happens.
Right,
Otherwise, she's out for 2 years.
right, so would you like to withdraw without prejudice?
Yes, please.
Okay. Motion to,
Motion to withdraw without prejudice,
Second,
all in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Steve Lynch, aye.
Ryan Murphy, aye.
Jean Lee, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. All right, so now we have, we already went through everybody else here. Mill Pond Realty Trust, 2549, 835 Plain Street. Anything on the agenda?
Good evening, everyone. Kayla Sepulveda, Sullivan and Comerford, dealing with Brad Cushing, property owner, 835 Plain, owned by Mill Pond Realty Trust. I appreciate the board's time and also Andrew's time in working with us on this. As I'm sure all of you know, this is a site that many of us drive by routinely. It's in the industrial district, and this site is about 25 acres, with the front portion of the site being in the Water Resource Protection District. There's a myriad of requests in this application, and I'm happy to be interrupted or answer any questions at any point in time. So I can give a little bit of history as it relates to the site. My client has not owned this site forever. He bought a portion of it in '98 and has acquired additional parcels over the years till now, which stands as about 25 acres. Historically, this site has been used almost exactly as it's being used today, which I sort of categorize as construction-related contractors and the like, mostly storage of their equipment. The businesses that are occupying the site aren't generating general public trips. It's really somewhere that they can put their stuff because they can't store their trucks and equipment in their residential districts where they reside. So back in 1993, there was a special permit that was granted by the Zoning Board of Appeals, which allowed that front building closest to 139. There was a prior building there. It was taken down, and that building was allowed to be constructed via special permit, and there was an addition added to the rear building. During that process, it was also discussed the conversion of that building from one sort of space to bays to be leased to, just like I discussed, sort of contractor-type businesses. And that's what's taken place. In '93, they granted that special permit. In '94, there was a clarification as it relates to what the uses were to be at the site that said the only uses permitted under the special permit are construction industry, including supplier and motor freight terminal and warehousing. In 1998, because the '93 special permit had lapsed or not been entirely acted on, the Zoning Board of Appeals instituted a pretty much identical decision with one additional inclusion, which was that, I believe it's special condition number 2, Andrew, that said that if any of this project, or this property was in the Water Resource Protection District, that necessary permits need to be obtained prior to a building permit. That was the case. The building then was constructed, and the addition was added. In 2000, at that point, my client had taken ownership to this front piece of 835 Plain Street, and he had requested that in order to do what was sort of deemed a 3-phase project, that the special permit be extended, and it was extended to May 31 of 2001 with a condition that a landscape plan be filed prior, which was. Since then, like I said, my client has obtained more land, and because of that, there's been greater demand to utilize this site. As of right now, I know it was a little difficult as it relates to the plan and maybe even my memo that was submitted back in July, because some of the tenants have left since then or changed a little bit. But how I see the site is that there's 27 spaces that could be utilized. And as of right now, 2 of those spaces are empty. And 13 of those spaces are indoor spaces. 12 within that big, long building in the back, and then 1 in that front building, with the additional other spaces being outdoor. So also, I think what is important to note is that a lot of these tenants overlap. There's 5 tenants that are just renting space to put their trucks and equipment and some materials. There's 7 tenants that are just in that big, long building. And there's 5 tenants that are leasing both indoor office space or bay in that building, and outdoor space, to accessory to whatever their business is within the confines of those 2 structures. So to try and streamline things, I looked at all of the uses that are on the site, which again, I think it looks like a lot. And I will admit that there is a lot going on here. And we're just sort of trying to clean it up, and get into compliance, understanding that things have sort of snowballed as greater land has been acquired, and so more has been utilized at the site. So as of right now, I see that there's 5 of our 17 tenants their uses are allowed by right. Those uses are categorized as construction industry, including suppliers, which is wholesale, transportation, industrial use number 3, and retail and service use number 30, contractor, artist, rental, bay facilities, including workshop, light processing, light assembly, office and storage. So that's 5 of our tenants. There are some other uses that are allowed by right, but they're also in conjunction with a use that is requiring a special permit. Those uses are wholesale transportation and industrial use number 23, processing and recycling of wood materials, and accessory use number 8, which is outside storage clearly necessary for operation and conduct of a permitted principal wholesale transportation, industrial, and commercial use. So that is the permitted uses. There's 11 tenants that have uses that require special permit, but within those 11 tenants, there's only 4 categories of use. Open storage of finished goods and construction equipment, miscellaneous business repair, other transportation services, and processing and trading of raw materials. Again, all of these uses, I think, you know, most of them are under that wholesale transportation and industrial use. And if you look at the roster of our tenants, they are all, for the most part, some type of construction-related use. I guess with probably maybe the exception of two of our tenants that would require a variance to continue their operation at our site.
Which two of those?
So those would be McShane's Boat Sales and Andy's Towing.
So Andrew, if you wouldn't mind, Andrew, do we have those on the upcoming town meeting?
Correct.
I saw that at
Yeah, there's two.
There are,
4-hour and 51-minute meeting that Steve sat through the whole thing.
Oh, geez.
I saw these on there. Did you see it? You-
Yeah, so there was, I believe it's 26 and 28 of the
meeting.
warrant.
Yeah,
And they would allow for, so there's 3 uses that we would require a variance as we sit here today.
today, but if.
Town meeting is next Monday, and so, those are, establishments selling boats and boat accessories, boat marina and boat yard, which I note that boat marina and boat yard is what is on for town meeting, not selling boats. And then I noted in a footnote on my application that I didn't really believe that Andy's Towing was a automobile graveyard or junkyard, but it was the closest use to impound yard. There, it's not, you know, Everett's, and you're not going in
Well,
and picking parts apart.
Andrew, what would you categorize that
I
as?
think it's the towing services and impound storage would be what I would, I mean, Andrew can chime in whether he thinks that that would be applicable.
Andrew?
pardon me, what would I
Oh, what-
categorize them as?
Andrew's,
Andy's,
towing.
thank you, Brian.
Not Andrew.
It's okay.
Under our current table of use,
Yeah, Well, what-
uh,
does the upcoming town meeting help him?
I mean, usually I think that towing has been either other transportation services.
Yep,
I think it's usually what we've used for that, as far as I'm aware.
we have.
Yep,
Which is allowed by a special permit.
Permit, so it's not a variance.
Okay. And so,
Oh, go ahead.
go ahead, Andrew, sorry. No? Maybe?
No.
Okay.
So,
So, I mean, obviously with the fact that I think 2 of our big asks are on next week's town meeting, I would, you know, be looking for feedback as it relates to this application, but I would be asking to be put onto another date to see what happens.
Yeah, we're gonna
And maybe we would have to bifurcate this application if it was allowed, because, you know, it takes time for things to
yeah,
come
we're
back
gonna
from
want,
the
you
agent's
know,
office.
obviously a more cleaned up plan. And, wanna say something? Steve?
So, Bob,
Oh, I was gonna ask Bob, if you could tell us, Bob, I know we talked about this, would we uphold what Andrew currently said tonight, and then we would give them
If you
time
believe
to bring
Andrew
a
is
plan?
correct, then the motion would be to uphold his decision that the uses are not allowed.
Right. And then they can come back.
Yeah, and I
After.
do think that the zoning might give them some relief,
Yeah,
but there's still a problem with, this is all one lot, you're only allowed to have one
Right.
principal use on a lot in that district. So, the planning board's recommendation was subdivide the property, put in a roadway, ask for waivers, and then you could have multiple uses on multiple lots.
Okay.
That would be the best option to preserve as many uses as possible, because that decision from 93, all those uses had to be transportation or wholesale related, that one category of use. And, yeah, sure, there are other types of uses allowed in an industrial district, but the industrial district is not a multi-use district. It's one principal use per lot, and this doesn't qualify. So I think zoning bylaw helps, but unless you subdivide, you're still gonna run into the issue.
what was the updated bylaw? Oh, go ahead, Andrew.
I just, the only thing that, you know, it does say in, this special condition number 2, says the only uses permitted under this special permit are construction industry, including suppliers, and motor freight terminal and warehousing. And those are 2 different uses.
Well, and I think it also acknowledges the fact that there are leased uses in both the 93 and 99 decisions. So it's clear that they anticipated that there was going to be more than one use at this site. It says the leased spaces need to have parking, paved parking up to their areas. So, which is there. There's paved parking up to every garage bay.
Yes, that's,
Bob? Bob?
Yep.
So if they subdivide it,
Yeah,
is that gonna muster the spot zoning?
no. No, because the zoning isn't changing, Steve, you're just creating lots. The
So
zoning
they have
isn't
different
changing.
uses on each lot?
yeah, each.
Correct.
So what are you gonna do about the building? You can't have multiple lots for one building.
You can have one principal building per lot,
Right.
but they have a lot of uses that don't require buildings. So, you wouldn't have any dimensional setback issues for some of the uses if you subdivided it. And I think those are uses that are potentially, they could get a special permit for. But you'd have them on their own individual lots, like one lot might be 1 acre, another lot might be 2 acres, another lot might be 5 acres. I mean, they got like 20,
Yeah, but that's empty space.
Yeah.
The buildings you can only subdivide into 2 lots,
no, you
right?
can't subdivide a building, you can,
No, I mean, there's 2 buildings, right?
yeah, they could
So
put,
you could put one building as one lot and one building as another,
They should.
but then you're restricted to one use in each building.
yeah, but what
Correct.
they've typically done, though, is transportation and wholesale uses, as long as the individual uses are in that general field, you could have multiple uses engaged, multiple businesses engaged in one use.
Right, I understand like construction, there's all kinds of different
Construction
aspects.
bays, right.
Aspects of
But we-
construction.
Like, we have these other construction contractors' storage yards
bay.
out there,
Right.
towards the McDonald Funeral Home, and then further down,
Right.
you have contractors' yards, you have multiple contractors in there, but they're all storing.
Then you get into the problem where, okay, I have no problem with different construction things being considered under that one use.
Yeah.
But now you got retail.
Right, well, that's a
That's
different
no
issue.
problem,
You
right?
might have to put.
But so, Bob, what about, what was the zoning bylaw that changed that gave Dan Smith the ability to have retail? We just did something. We updated.
Well, the zoning bylaw changed that allowed Dan Smith to do something different, and I think the board felt that he had multiple non-conforming uses, and you allowed him to change them to other uses.
All right.
Give him a special permit.
All right.
But the bylaw also changed,
The bylaw changed.
yeah, allowing him to sell like the equipment.
Equipment, yes.
I think we redefined, or the board or the
That-
town
No,
redefined
the
the
town
use.
did, both in the B2 and the I.
Yeah,
So I think we have, that just happened, but,
no, I think in a
Well, I mean,
whole,
it's a
as a
few
whole, I think the bylaw changes would be beneficial to them. The problem is, you
Right.
don't get around the one use per lot, and
personally, I think, we got town meeting coming up. We should continue this again. I don't, is the board on board for that?
there's another thing.
Right.
You gotta get site plan approval for any use, including the uses by right, and that was not done.
Right.
That doesn't mean you can't get a site plan for that, but you gotta get, the plan that's there, I think, is a good overview as to what's out there
Something to
now.
start with, yeah.
But it's not like what you required Mr. Smith to have.
Right. Well, I'm just thinking maybe they
Well,
could meet with,
nowhere
maybe they could meet with Andrew.
Is the WPRD delineation nor the inland wetlands.
It's in the front.
We submitted where the WRPD is.
The
The line
WRPD
is
is
right
in-
up at
right
the
there,
front.
that front
It's only
line.
that front building that's within the WRPD.
But the rest is not.
That one building hasn't
I've looked
changed
at
since
this. No.
1969.
I
Just
just,
for clarification real quick, what we're saying is that large building with the changes that's being proposed, it's still, they have like 10 or 12 businesses out of that building. They would still be able to do that as long as they're
all
similar
within
use
the
within
same
that
use, once it's subdivided.
But they could have.
Well, I think the issue too is, I mean, a subdivision road frontage is gonna be at issue. The cost to put in a subdivision road would make it nearly
My personal
uneconomic
opinion
to
is I
put this.
think you should go meet with Andrew, should meet with Greg, see what happens at town meeting.
Yeah,
And we continue, and then you come back to us and tell us what you come up with.
Can I ask, just one point of order? I think you said that there's some more things that you want on your plan, and so I would want to at least start working on that while we wait for it, because I think that that's
We
not
would
going
like
to
to
be.
see whatever Andrew's looking
Okay.
for, all right?
That's
I mean,
fine.
personally, I'm
Come
just-
on, I can't, you can't do that to me, Brian.
All right, so not what Andrew's looking for. You present to Andrew a plan.
I'm happy to meet with
If-
Andrew.
Brian,
And then-
you guys, I'm sorry, I gotta interrupt here. The board has to give more guidance. I have been working on this for the last 3 years, okay? I've identified the fact that there is an issue here, that we didn't get any site plan approval, nothing is done according to any of the regulations or any of the conditions under the zoning bylaw. So my first thing was get the notice of violation out, and then I've been working with them to get them to this point, to give us a site plan to show us exactly what they've got. But you as the board have to say, what do you want to see from them, on them? What conditions under site plan approval, under the bylaw, that they should have to meet or not with their plan? And that's what I think the guidance that the board needs to give. And you can't just put this one back on me. It's too much.
All right, I get it, you've done enough there.
Okay.
We'll take care of
I
that.
have something to say about that.
Sure.
So, this kind of business has been going on there for a long, long time, and it's been in violation for a long time. However, we don't want, this board doesn't want to shut this business down either.
Absolutely.
So, but it's drastically out of compliance. So I think what you should do is try to do your best to get as close to being in compliance as you can, and see what we can do to, I don't know, with zoning at town meeting, or with you doing some subdivisions, to try to make a middle ground that we can meet, so that we can feel like we did the right thing for the people of Marshfield, and we didn't put a guy out of business.
Yeah,
I agree with that, but I think so what we're looking for here is that you go back to your engineers, so not Andrew, go back to your engineers, the attorneys, you review what he's written up, and you bring a plan back to us that you believe meets what Andrew's been asking for. Something in there, get
Can't
us
stay out
going,
of
in the
drastic
right direction.
compliance.
No, I hear you. I mean, I've met with Andrew at length, so we've talked
Well,
about
you
this
give-
many of times.
Do you have Bob's memorandum?
I have Bob's. I
you can
have
take
I have
that,
all of your
You
comments.
can take the notes from Bob, and then you can come back
And I
with
mean,
something.
yeah, no, I think that we did.
And let's see what happens at town meeting.
No,
That's gonna
Brian, I think that
change.
that's something that's really instrumental to this
It is.
entire.
So I just think, for me, we have a
Let's-
pretty full plate on
Yeah.
October 28th,
No. Okay.
correct, Nancy?
I
And then,
wouldn't
do.
what's the next meeting past that?
It's not until November 25th.
Is that okay?
Is that like right before the holiday?
Yes.
Yeah, so,
Maybe.
well, then there's only, we
I know, I know.
December, but, no, I don't, is the board okay with moving this till December?
I think it would give us time from an engineering standpoint. I mean, it was really a Herculean task to get someone to do a plan of.
I understand.
And
And
so.
I agree.
To have a little bit of
Nancy,
time
what
would
is
be
the next? What is the
appreciated.
first meeting in
Do not
December?
have the, let me pull up a calendar.
I can consult with Nancy, Brian, if you
No, we have
want.
to
Yeah, we
do
have
that
to
now.
decide
And
tonight.
what about the 100-day constructive
The 9th.
I'll
permit? Where are we
I'll
with
give an
that?
Is it the
extension.
9th?
You need a waiver, because the board has to act within 100 days.
Yeah.
So you're gonna need to give us a waiver.
About this.
On the variances and on the appeal.
Because I can't pull the road.
We're gonna need a
12/9.
I'll give you an extension.
variant, the letter, okay, you'll
Yeah,
take
of
care of
course.
it. All right. Nancy, the 9th, is it?
Can I just look? I just, let me
Is it
just look
Yeah.
my calendar real quick.
Second and the fourth.
9th and
Well,
23rd.
Yeah, we're gonna discuss that. So the 9th, we're gonna move this, I'm gonna move,
Brian.
Can I just ask Bob one more
Anybody
thing?
oh, sure, go ahead.
Bob, so I'm kind of a loss here about what's coming up at town meeting that's gonna affect this case. So could you take the time to write me the actual effects of what will happen at town meeting if those zoning changes.
We'll write it all of us, all right?
I can
Well,
give you a
break it
very
down.
simple answer though right now.
Okay,
You got one large lot now. It's a lot larger than it used to be. There's only one use allowed on the lot. It doesn't make any difference if we allow other uses unless you create other lots. So
Right.
they have to solve that too.
okay.
But it will make them allowable in the future.
If you subdivided that building into different condos, would that make any difference?
Just,
You know, there's a way around, the subdivision typically requires a certain roadway. You can ask for waivers. If this is a industrial use and, you don't have to always, I can't speak for the planning board, how they're
But
gonna
that's
view
what I
it.
mean, they have to go
They
work
might
with
grant
Greg.
waivers
There's a
from
lot
paved
of
road
work ahead of us
widths.
here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's.
But I think we all agree that we
don't
can
want the
move-
planning board suing us.
Right, so, exactly. So I'm
Also,
gonna move that we
you-
move,
You gotta say what Steve said, they've got a lot of businesses that have been operating there for years and years and years. Even like down to Andy's Towing, it's an emergency service that's right off the expressway, it's good for the community and, it's.
That's why we're gonna extend it.
So
Brian.
hopefully, yeah.
hope,
No, I appreciate that.
what's that?
Does anybody in the audience have?
Anyone in the audience have anything to say?
I can say that Andy's and McShane's are both here this evening in support of
Of you. That's
this
good.
application, so I don't know if there's anyone else that's
Well, thank you.
comment.
So I'm gonna move that 2549, 835 Plain Street move to December 9th, 2025. Do I have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Stephen Lynch, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Jean Lee, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
for your time this evening.
All right, so now we have 2392 Marilyn White, 25 Damon Point Circle. Petitioner requests a one-year extension to November 28th, 2026 for the special permit granted on November 14th, 2023, meeting due to personal circumstances. So you're just looking for an extension of time?
Yes, good evening. Steve Bjorklund for the record, here with Marilyn White, the property owner,
I don't,
and that's exactly what she's looking for. She received a special permit back in 2023, on November 14th that was issued, and it's due to run out in about 1 month. And the permitting that she's got to go through with the North River Commission, Conservation Commission, all the different boards, have somewhat delayed the project, but she's also had some family
Yeah,
issues
this is pretty,
in
understand, this is
Florida.
pretty basic. We do this a lot, so.
Yeah.
Anyone on the board have a problem with this?
No issue.
Fine.
Bob?
This is completely reasonable.
Yes, all right. So I'm gonna move that 2392 Marilyn White, 25 Damon Point Circle, we give them a one-year extension to November 28th, 2026. Do I have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Stephen Lynch, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Jean Lee, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Good luck.
So now we only have, we're not doing the,
Steve?
we're not doing the rules and regs. Andrew, do you have the zoning map?
Karen saved them in discussions.
Karen said she saved them in discussions.
What do you want to go over, Brian?
I just wanted to go over the map that was going to be voted on at town meeting and now isn't. Karen sent all the maps to us. Well, you were gonna have you explain what we're doing.
So you want us to talk about Article 8, the proposed Article 18, that zoning map here?
Yeah, I think it's whatever one is the one, yeah, if it's not,
Coastal Wetlands Overlay District map?
yes.
Okay.
Just if you could just give us, since you've been really the point person on this, tell us what it does.
Sure. So, I'll just go through the bylaw real quick. So the Inland Wetlands District is a district that is basically there to protect streams, water courses, other lands like that, preserve the groundwater table, prevent flooding, and it's really defined by soils that are poorly draining soils. where once water starts collecting, it really doesn't have anywhere to drain and it's gonna pond and flood. So these inland soils like that are considered the inland wetlands district. So that's what was created there. Now, they also have the coastal wetlands district. The coastal wetlands district are these same areas, but also areas that are, they have to be tidal marsh and subject to tidal flooding. And the way these areas were identified in the bylaw is by the soil survey of Plymouth County from 1969 by the Soil Conservation Service, okay? So basically so there's only a couple of permitted uses in that coastal wetlands district. So we've got wastewater treatment facilities, waterworks, pumping stations, maritime service and safety facility, essential services, and parks. Then anything with that, like any other structure like that is going to be built has to have a special permit. And the only type of special permit, or the only type of structure that can be built are piers, boathouses, walkways, and other type of similar facilities. No structure intended for human occupancy is allowed, or no other structure is allowed in the coastal wetlands district. And that was really to protect our tidal marshes throughout Marshfield. Dumping, filling of land are prohibited in that district. No ponds or pools or changes in the water courses can be created, and no use shall be permitted to develop in such a manner that will affect the natural character of the area. So it was really set up to have zoning protection of these areas. We have obviously wetlands protection with the Wetlands Protection Act and Conservation Commission. They condition any work to protect the wetlands from any work that's going to be happening. But zoning, it gives the allowance of whether or not something can actually be done in the first place before you start to protect it. So the zoning districts are what allow you to do something or not. And so they're based on this soil survey. So a couple of years ago, we started looking into, I started to pay a lot more attention to the inland wetlands district and looked at the maps that they were based off of, because I kind of was noticing, we started noticing it a lot more and actually issuing special permits for inland wetlands district stuff. And it became difficult to, once I started really looking at it all, figure out, we were trying to look at kind of like why the district was created or how it was created. And it referenced the 1969 soil survey map. And we found that the soil survey map had been updated, and last year the bylaw was changed for the inland wetlands district map to be updated from, and I will show you an example right here. This is the, I'll take off the flood zones. This is the old wetlands zoning map. The yellow is the coastal wetlands district, and the red is the inland wetlands district. And this is the updated poorly drained soils. So that's the updated map. So you can see that there is a lot of similar overlay, but with the more recent updates from 2010, I believe the newest survey was done. It is much more reflective of current day soils and topography and development. that has happened in the area since this bylaw was created back in the 70s. So we updated the inland wetlands district map to reflect these poorly drained soils, and that's what we've been using. And so the discussion came about to update the coastal wetlands district based on the same map. And that would create basically all these areas that were yellow are now the coastal wetlands district, which are the poorly draining soils. And then anything that still meets that definition of a tidal marsh or subject to subject to lunar flooding, or is it or the lunar tides there. Subject to tidal flooding on tidal marsh. So that is basically what we did. The current 1969 maps that we use are these here. I actually have, these are actually a better version of them. So it's difficult sometimes if I've got to look at these maps to use them to delineate exactly where the coastal wetlands district is, which was a big reason why I decided maybe we should update this map as well as we did with the inland wetlands district using the current soil surveys, especially since there has been a lot of development in the years since, and it's more reflective of current conditions than it was in 1969 when the bylaw was initiated. And I don't, and that's about the extent of it, I think, Brian, unless you guys have specific questions.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, it's that the reason we're tied to this map is the language that was used with using the 69 map. And I don't know if you have it on there, but we have the 1912 map as well that was updated in 69. So that's the same distance in time from 2026 to 69 that it is from 69 to 1912. I just don't understand why we're not, I mean, they're pulling this, I understand that, but I just want you to tell our board why we're updating this map. From what I was told, I forget what the new name of this federal government entity is, but they said that it updates every October 1st.
The Natural Resources Soil Conservation
Right.
Service.
So we just updated again for 2025 on October 1st, meaning the state of Massachusetts, whatever sections they picked. From what they told me, in 2010, the polygons, is how they referred to it, changed in Plymouth County, because that's when they did a big review of Plymouth County. So all this does is give you the ability to get on the GIS and use that mapping system there, rather than trying to use an old paper map from 1969. Is that correct?
Essentially, I mean, I think it's just more reflective of current conditions.
It's just not a map from 1969.
Is, you know, there's only been a few times that I've had to actually go and look at the soil map, you know, from 69, because we did create the zoning overlay district. But even at that, some of these have been vague as they relate to structures. You know, all of this stuff is kind of, it's off. It's not exact. The GIS isn't exact.
Right.
And so the only other thing I have to reference if I want to get exactly whether or not a structure is in or out is by going to the zoning map, which doesn't show structures. So then the only thing I can go to is the 1969, you know, soil survey, and then try to determine, you know, if that was in there, you know.
But you have the updated, the 2020,
If, you know, if anything's changed on that
right.
property.
You
if
at least
that
have the
impacts-
2020 map, right? I mean, that's the one they were looking to approve at town meeting. And then they were gonna change the language so it could effectively move it forward when it gets upgraded, which should have been done in 71 or 70, but they just didn't have the,
This
foresight.
is the,
That's the map right there.
Brian, what happens is though, by changing it from coastal wetlands to inlands, we're removing all kinds of building restrictions. And and I just drove here down Plymouth Ave, and if that's not a coastal wetland, I don't know what is, because
But
there's
as
about a foot
Andrew
of water.
said, but as Andrew
also,
said,
so here's the
it's
the
still
other
the
part of the
definition.
code is,
it's just you're giving us the ability to use the most
you-
updated map.
Current map.
Like, why would you, in 1969, imagine if they said, you know, we're not gonna use this
We're gonna
map,
open up the
we're gonna
whole
stay with
corridor
the
for building, Brian.
1912 map. They
We'll
could have
be opening
stayed
up
with the
whole corridor for
1912.
building by doing
What's that?
We'll be opening up that whole corridor for building if we change it to inland wetlands.
It's not inland wetlands, it's not coastal wetlands.
so this is right here, in this is the current zoning map. It shows it as, as inland wetlands district on the zoning map, right?
Yep.
And I believe a lot of people were going by that for the longest time, and all these houses on Arkansas, Billings, Wilson, all this stuff, this is all technically inland wetlands district, right? Because it's in the red, not in the yellow. But the bylaw says, when you're determining the district, right, in the definition of the district here,
Soils.
it says that where these soils fall within the coastal wetlands district, the area shall be considered as in the coastal wetlands district. And so the coastal wetlands district is defined as those soils defined as tidal marsh in the 1969 Soil Conservation Service. So the zoning map says inland wetlands district. I then go to the 1969 soil map, and that says TD, tidal marsh. So all of Plymouth Ave, all of these houses, all of these things are in the coastal wetlands district in an area that currently we consider tidal marsh under zoning.
So if you have an
So-
existing
Which it is.
structure, you can rebuild. That's all right, but you can't build on an empty lot. I don't see any reason to change it. I don't see the advantage other than you get to see a map that's a little bit more defined.
Yeah, you're right, I mean, I'm sure in 69, they should have said, why would we update to this map? We
You
should
think
stay
the
with the
soil actually
1912.
changed from 1912 to
No, I don't think much has changed in anywhere. It's just that what you're doing is you're saying, what they should have said in 69, let's stay with the 1912 accurate map here. We have, you know, it just, all you're doing is making this so anyone can go on there and now use the GIS to look at where you are. The inland wetland, the old inland wetland maps, some spots that we had to use to identify properties, the line was 30 feet wide and wider, meaning that because of the size, the age of that map, you didn't know, it was at least 30 feet plus to say, where are we? This just puts you right in it.
If the planning board had their way, that would open up the dredge bowl area for building.
You can't, we own the
I
town.
feel that that
owns
30, I
land.
feel that that 30-foot map, that
They could
30-foot
build a
line that
parking lot on it, Brian. We don't want a parking lot
Well,
there.
all I'm saying is that you can say all these reasons you want, but this is to modernize what we're doing, to say this is a modern map. The federal government created this map, and they told me in 2010 that the polygons changed in Plymouth County, and that is the map we're trying to use here. Still have all our definitions in there that cover a lot of the stuff that you're worried about. But for me, it just, it takes a lot of people out of the coastal wetlands that don't belong in it. It's, why are you leaving them sitting in there? Brent Rock Market comes out of it. They come out of the coastal wetland.
And how's it hurting them to be in it?
Just saying, don't you want something that's accurate? Why is it wrong to have accurate information?
Well, try to define the difference between coastal wetland and inland wetland. At Brant Rock Supermarket, it's pretty tough considering that there's 3 feet of water there in the
I
northeast.
understand what you're saying, Steve, but I'm
That's
saying.
title, that's
this-
title.
This is what the federal government has determined. These are the maps everyone else uses. But yet we're using a map, we're tied to that map,
Yes.
just because of the language that was used in 1970 or 71 when they adopted the 69 map. Had they just said, like Greg's trying to do, in any further updates, or however he put the language, it just means that moving forward, as we progress, like instead of using a typewriter, we went to a word processor, and now we use computers and our phones.
Yeah, but we didn't change the alphabet when we went from the typewriter to the word
How's that
processor.
changing the alphabet?
But
Well, you've got people that are
consequences of doing
in
this,
different-
Brian, means it opens it up to building structures.
You've got people in different zones that you're all of
Andrew,
a
how
sudden going to
much
be
does this
changed.
change building structures?
How many
in that area?
properties will be changed?
I think he said 75 are affected.
Well, I mean, you can just see right here, you know, you've got all these houses on the fringe, all these houses on Johnson Terrace, houses on MacArthur, a few houses here off of Roosevelt on Primrose Lane, Arkansas Street, Plymouth Ave, Billings Road, Wilson Road, Adams Road, these houses along Ocean Street, houses on Hartford Road, Charles Street, Hanley Road, Leon Court. You know, that's just in this corner alone.
So basically, all the houses that flood during a new
But we're
moon.
not,
I
we're
think
not
Steve
we're not
was more
stopping them from
addressing
doing
the
anything.
empty lot.
It doesn't
correct?
affect an
Yeah,
existing
we're not
home.
stopping them from
The
building
empty
the
lots
existing
that
homes,
house-
so they're
Right.
not.
Yeah,
The-
no, a house.
The houses are there,
It's never gonna go.
they can still do.
They can do whatever they have to
get a
do.
special permit.
All we're saying is this is the
Bill.
more modern map, it's the one everyone else is using. This is the Plymouth County map, this is the one that's accepted. I just don't understand why we want to stay stuck to 1969. It just,
Because there's serious consequences
There
to
are.
the neighborhood where I live.
There are, all the
well,
neighborhoods.
then,
If you bought,
go
a-
ask the federal government what's wrong with the map.
if you bought a property 2 years ago or 10 years ago that was in the, whatever, the wetlands, and now you change the map to a coastal wetlands. that
But
you're
we're
in
not,
different-
we are not changing the map. The map is changed. It's not that we're changing anything. What we're saying is that we're adopting the most modern version of the map. You're saying we should stay in 1969 with the tremendous map that they did then. Hopefully back then, it's too bad you guys weren't back there.
Brian,
You could have
we're
said,
doing more than that.
1912 is the way to go. We're gonna stick with the 1912
It's
map.
historic.
Let's
It's a
not go to
historic line,
69.
so-
Brian, we're doing more than adopting a map. We're changing a zoning district. That is gigantic. It's,
You're accepting a map that is created, this is the original map. It has been changed every October 1st since 1969. It is updated. But because we wrote the 1969 map, we're tied to that map. I just don't understand why there's a fight over what is going on with this map. To me, is
I think it's probably because we've been beaten over the head for 20 years about sea level rise, and now all of a sudden we're saying there's.
so you
70
agree with sea
there's
level
70
rise? You're saying
property-
you agree with sea level rise?
Absolutely, the sea level is rising, it's gonna go up and it's gonna
How
go
many
down,
inches?
there's climate
How many
change.
inches has it gone up in the past 20 years?
Oh, I couldn't tell you, but there's
I'm just
definitely,
asking.
there's been climate change over 10,000 years, Brian, it does change, it goes up and down. The cavemen walked from, you know,
all right,
So you're
Alaska to
saying we've
Russia.
had sea level rise?
I don't think that argument really matters, but if you want to know about sea level rise, didn't believe it for 1 minute. But last year, I was standing in front of my house with a friend of mine who grew up behind me, and we're looking at the water on a high tide with no wind, coming over the street that goes up to Blackman's Trailer Park, and it was going over the street, and it never did that in our lifetime on just a regular high tide with no wind. Now it does. So there is some, and that only takes sea level rise that much.
Well, you're
to make
saying
the
it's
difference
gone
to
up
bring
an
over a
inch. It's
road.
just the motion in
the
the
storm
ocean.
drain in Brant Rock Center, every high tide bubbles up 6 or 8 inches. That's the high tide mark. It doesn't tell you.
Wouldn't this map reflect that the fact that, so you're saying it's
You-
gone
you-
up 1.25 inches, the sea level?
No, I'm saying every high tide, every moon high tide in Brant Rock, the storm drain bubbles up on a sunny, beautiful day over the sidewalk in Brant Rock. Every high tide. So to tell me that that's not tidal, it's tidal. And it's just because the federal government says.
It's just the
it
rise
isn't.
of the tide.
It's
Well, these are
the rise of the
maps
tide.
based on the work that they did, and in 2010, I can tell you can call them yourselves, they were extensive, did Plymouth County. And they said that the polygons changed in Plymouth County in 2010. All I'm saying is that this makes GIS and everything easier to use. This is, the Concom uses this. Everybody uses it. Everybody but planning and zoning uses these maps. So you're saying that we should stay with the 1969 map because you think 56, it'll be 57 years ago in 26, that was a better map.
And you're saying, Brian, that we should.
Use the
we should
modern
change-
map.
We should change the complete zoning
Not, it
restriction.
doesn't complain.
So we can have a
complete
map
zone.
to look at it
It's-
better.
We're not doing anything. They changed the same map that you're using has been updated. All right, so
But the
you're
zoning
using.
district hasn't been updated.
But the map has been updated. So all you do is go to the map and say, here's the map. Then there's the regulations that tell you, soil evaluation, this, like, we have things in the inland wetland that they say, okay, we're actually not in it, because they do soil
There's
evaluation.
other things that determine coastal wetlands. like-
Correct, and
like
Andrew just listed
plants
them.
and whatever. There's other
But you
stuff.
have that all in there, so if you're arguing the point that that belongs in there, you can, if that comes up, you go in there and they have to prove it. I just don't understand
Well,
why.
it's moved now anyway. 'cause
When, they're moving it to
forward.
the spring, I understand, but I'm saying I don't understand what the big deal about this map change is. I really don't.
Well, I can tell you what the residents and the fishermen think about it. They don't want to have a paved parking lot at the DSA.
So you're saying that
Because
we
what's
should
gonna happen is, this is
update
what
the
will
map
happen,
because
Brian.
of the DSA,
This
but
is-
no, that's what you're
Yeah,
saying.
This is what will happen. They'll pave the parking lot at DSA, and then we'll have twice the amount of trucks with trailers with boats using our tiny little resource, our town pier, that don't live in Marshfield, that want to come here and create this gigantic overburden of boats that are in our harbor already and add to it, and the parking problem and the traffic problem. And we don't want that to happen.
Go ahead, Andrew.
So, if I'm hearing it correctly, the issue that we're having here with the coastal wetlands district using the updated map is because there are people who believe that the only thing stopping any kind of development in the DSA on one property in Marshfield is its inclusion in the coastal wetlands district. I mean, you're not counting all the other permitting and public comment and everything else that they would have to go through to do that besides the fact? I mean, there's places in place to, and that's just not gonna get railroaded through and happen. Is going to be
Sure.
meetings and everything else, if something like that ever.
Then it will
was
get
proposed.
railroaded through after the meetings.
I don't understand why we would restrict residential development in this town for one
We're not
thing.
restricting residential development. What empty lot do you want to develop that's in that district? Name the lot.
It's not about the lots, it's about
I
updating a
don't
map.
want to
No,
develop anything
no one
in
cares
anything.
about the lots, it's about the
No, but I mean,
map.
what lots are lots of existing records that could be developed in that area if we changed it from coastal to inland? Tell me where they are.
Even if you say they're there,
There's two.
There's how many?
50.
So my whole issue with this is that in 1969, the public policy concern was completely aligned with the map, right? When people talk about poor draining soils, about protecting the marshes, about all the public policy concerns that we had matched the map at the time. And since that period, our public policy concerns have remained, if not actually strengthened, but the map has changed. And so now they are moving further and further apart. And I would like to see the map align with our public policy concerns, which means updating the map.
It just, all it does is update a map, but I mean, we could vote to put the 1912 map back in. I mean, that would put us really.
Not just those properties, not just the DSA. What about the property that's out of compliance right now at the end of Plymouth Ave? So now you're gonna move that completely into the inland wetland district, because it's only partially in it now. And so now that violation goes away?
So what are you talking about now?
The people I've talked to feel like it's an end
Doesn't go
around. It's an
away.
end around to make some properties that are not buildable now buildable.
So you think,
And that's just,
all right,
I'm
no,
not saying me,
trying to
that's
understand
people
what
I've
you're
talked
saying here.
to.
So somebody got together with the federal government
No, I
and
didn't say
created
that.
this map.
I didn't say that.
No, well, then what are you saying? You're
I'm-
saying that
I'm saying-
this map that was created by the federal government, okay,
Yep.
Nothing to do with anyone that lives in this town, or maybe the state people. You're saying that someone colluded with them? I'm trying to
No, it's been
understand.
65 years since they've updated it, and now, all of a sudden, it's
It's been
a vital.
56 years.
It's a whatever, it's been a vital necessity that it has to be done either now or in the springtime. Why all of a sudden now? Because there are
I've
certain
actually
properties that
been
need
bringing
to
this
be
up
built.
I've been bringing this up since I got on this
No,
board
and we
because
can-
I knew
and we
about the
can- then we
2010,
can-
I knew about the 2010 polygon update. I didn't realize this would cause so much trouble. But you know what? Thank God in 1969, they voted to not use the 1912 map.
I mean, I've only been on this board for, a year and a half or so, and we've had many cases in which people have come before us arguing the public policy concern that should be applied, but we've had to apply instead the 1969 map because that's what's written in the bylaw. We actually had to override the public policy concern in order to retain access to this map that's written in the bylaw.
But we finally fixed that with we fixed the inland wetland, we voted that, we fixed that one. We're just trying to fix this one.
I want to point out one thing too. If there is a concern about sea level rise, which adjusts with time, right? That is going to be reflected in any updated maps that we do. Plus, if lands are covered by water of the average lunar monthly high tides, and that changes over time, we will then consider those properties as sea level rise to be tidal marsh and to be in the coastal wetlands district. There's a method to doing that. I would have to go out with a member of the Conservation Commissioner, or the Conservation Commission and the Conservation Agent, and we would go out there and delineate where the tidal marsh is, where the tidal, the lands that are covered by the lunar monthly high tides are, and that would alter the district. But the basis is the map from the Soil Conservation Service, which is updated regularly, and which was most recently updated in 2010, which is why for the last 3 years I've been asking us to update to the map from 15 years ago instead of the map from over 75 years ago.
Yeah, the actual one Greg's using is the 2020 map that they got from, that's the one he put on the town meeting. But that map too has already been updated on October 1st, 21, 22, 23, 24, and now this year, 25. On October 1st, that map updates every year. And that's all we're asking is that, so if the tide is rising by an inch or inch and a quarter, whatever you guys say, that will reflect on that map. They are doing
It's
that.
over 100 years though, Brian, that they've raised, might have.
But I'm
might have
saying
raised
that
it
that will reflect,
200 years.
that map is updated every October 1st. Wouldn't you
About
want the
100
most
years,
modern map, and you can use GIS to look at this? You can't find anything on that map from 1969. You have to pull out these little 8x10 sheets, Andrew's got them right there, and then you gotta try and start to figure out where you are on that map.
Moving zoning restrictions is a
It's
big
not moving
deal.
zoning, it's updating a map that has, that's the map, okay, you
That's really
approve
not
this.
fair to use that type of map on.
Well,
some
no,
of these.
Larry, think
But you-
about what he's
but
saying
you're
is that
removing-
I don't wanna use 2020's map, I wanna use, but the same government entity created that map. that
Correct.
Created the maps we're currently using.
Correct, but that, look.
But you want that map because it's older. Why don't we use
I
the
don't.
zoning
I
from
think the
before
most
70?
modern technology should be used on the maps, but I also get what Steve's saying, that a lot of the property, the peoples that own, their houses are already there, they're gonna be able to rebuild or
They
extend.
can do that anyway.
They're already all set to do that. So I see no reason with not using the most modern
I
map
just
we
don't
possibly
understand
can.
it. Well, you heard the
So
reason,
use
it's
the most
the
modern map,
DSA.
but don't change the zoning district.
That's not correct, I'm sorry. This is, you gotta read the bylaw. No structure intended for human occupancy shall be erected, constructed, altered, enlarged, or otherwise created. So technically, any of the houses in the coastal wetlands district cannot get a zoning special permit to be altered or enlarged or to be reconstructed. unless it's damaged completely by fire. That's the only time.
Just,
Only
all
if
it does
you
is help these
reconstruct the
people
perimeter
out. I
after
mean,
fire or
these
the
are
natural-
existing homes. But, I understand. I think one of the things we gotta look at is going,
That's why I'm trying to
we
say
gotta go
need
back to a
clean it up.
typewriter, not an electric one, a regular typewriter. I
Maybe an
just think we'd be
abacus.
better
We
off.
should do an abacus, so we have
yeah.
it all back
I
and
agree.
forth. Yeah,
Get
map.
that 1912 map, let's
Yep.
vote that baby
Definitely.
in. Get ourselves right back 100 and so years ago. Be a great idea. Maybe not. I just don't look at that map, that's a beautiful map. It's just got modern written all over it. Can figure everything out from there. Oh, you can't.
Well, the people at town meeting will make that decision.
Absolutely, this goes on the docket in the
Not,
spring.
not this year, I mean, next
No, in
year,
the spring.
maybe.
Well, because
Maybe not.
Greg's looking at it currently to see because Andrew, there's also the opposite effect. Some people are gonna end up in the coastal wetlands that currently aren't, correct?
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe, that's what I
Yes,
think.
that's true.
That's what
That's
we're
true.
stopping.
Part of the
Yeah,
Venus
we're
is property
stopping
will
to
end up in
look
the
at this
coastal wetlands.
to see who's affected on the other side.
Say, that's not fair to them either. All of a sudden, now they're in a different wetland. And they didn't do anything to their property.
Yeah,
But they're
you
not.
just should
That's
say the
what
map,
happens Is that they're not.
they're not, these maps are existing.
You're saying no one's changing the other direction, is what
No,
you're
you're saying that we don't want to use a modern map.
Yeah.
69 is
That
the way to
also
go.
happens every time they update a federal
Sounds smart.
flood map as well.
Does? Sounds like a good idea.
You can use the software of the map to make your decisions where the lines are without changing the zoning of the district.
They don't exist. We were using a paper map. The company, the government that created that map has now updated that map since 1969 annually to where we are today in 2025. That's 56 years. Every year that gets updated, Steve. That's the same map. The one they're using is from 2025. The one we're using is from 1969. That's all I'm saying, is that map has changed every year for 56 years on October 1st. That you call and ask them, they'll tell you. I mean, maybe we should bring a representative from there to talk to town meeting and say, yeah, we're
Well,
selling typewriters as
You're
well.
preaching to the choir at town meeting, people walk in the door, they know how they're voting, you're not changing their mind.
Absolutely. All we're doing is going over this, because this is something that affects zoning now, not now, but and who knows, maybe 10 people will stand up at town meeting, maybe they won't. And in the spring.
With the existing houses, they already have the protection of the special permit anyways being there.
It was protection of pre-existing non-conforming status.
And with the special permit, well, Andrew pointed out that they can't reconstruct or alter or.
We've run into this with the inland wetlands.
Yeah,
So we
numerous-
fixed the inland wetlands map, thank God, that got voted in. And that moved a lot of people, and we don't have a 35 to 40-foot line that we're trying to guess where's where, or updated. But this one, I'm thinking maybe there's a map from 50s. We could go back to that one. Maybe vote backwards more. Let's make it an even 100.
I bet there's one carved in a stone down in Brant Rock.
Yeah,
You could probably
there is.
find
You
it
could do
still
that.
carved. Yeah, we use that one, it'd be great.
Be great.
I'd be fine with that, Brian.
The
Me
tide's
too.
done.
All right, Andrew, well, thanks for the update.
Sure.
The problem is the map.
What?
I don't think the problem is the map. I think they wouldn't have a problem changing to a new map. It's what's in the regulations that really is gonna control.
If somebody's talking, I can't hear them.
Yeah, you gotta come up to
Sorry.
it.
The microphone.
Name, address.
Sure, name, address. Steve Bjorkland, again. I do this in Situate. been involved in this stuff for about 40-something years, so I just wanted to come back in and first welcome everybody that's new on the board anyway. That's why I didn't leave. But this gets more interesting because in Situate, they use the 1972 flood maps in order to do this stuff. And when the engineers have to take that and put the line on the ground, in order to take the map that they have and superimpose that on a single site that you can see, the line is 80 feet wide.
That's what I'm saying, that's the
So
same here. I was
it's
being
almost
generous.
impossible to do that accurately. But they have a provision that says that you can go out and field locate where, say, the 10-foot elevation is. And it's been used really in both directions, depending upon what the projects are that come in.
Because the
And I've
ground
seen it.
actually determines everything here.
It-
The soil determines where you are, and that's why, even though the map says this, if you go out and, like Andrew said, you gotta meet all these standards, If you don't meet them, then yes, you're still in there.
Yeah,
It's,
no.
all it is updating them.
Right, but I agree with Andrew that what's written in the bylaw itself is really
Protection.
what the issue is.
Yeah.
Whether you're protected or not protected, whether you're in the district or not, if it says you can't expand your house because you're in the district, that's wrong. So change the bylaw, don't worry about the map itself, but go back and look at the bylaw and find out what's gonna be fair to people, whether they're in or out of that particular
What you
district.
don't understand, Steve, is our bylaw says specifically, map of 1969. That is what Greg is, that's why Andrew's, he's held to that.
Correct.
You can't fix that through soils. You can't, even though you can prove the soils that you're not in
Oh,
there.
you're saying-
No, but
you're
I'm
in there.
saying, you
You're saying
can
change
fix
the
that by
zoning law.
saying the zoning bylaw, don't
That's
say
what
it,
he's
it's
doing.
tied to the map.
That's
So
what
if you
they're doing.
change it to the new map, but what I'm saying is if there's issues in there, like expansion of a house, or somebody being able to improve something that says you can't do it, like Andrew said, change that. So
Right.
that they can come in for a special permit on a case-by-case basis, and you could take a look at their property and say, hey,
Well, all
this
this
makes
does is
sense.
update it so you don't have an 80-foot line. You know where the line is. And then
Correct.
you go out and field locate it.
But if they're gonna put new people in the line, or in the district, and some people are gonna come out of the district based on the new map, my only point is, I'm saying, give them the leeway in the bylaw itself to be able to say, come in with your
Grandfathering.
project, and it's not necessarily grandfathering, and it's just writing it in the bylaw so that those people can improve their properties, and maybe it just has to be by special permit, it's not just allowed as a matter of right, but you can come in and say, hey, wait a minute, no, I
I
don't think the
certainly have
map
no
is
problem with
exact.
anybody who owns an existing structure within the zone from rebuilding it and making it better. What we don't want to see, though, we know what we don't want to see. I don't
The
even need to say
DSA.
it anymore.
But Andrew's point
what we
is,
don't
in the
do.
bylaw, it says
Any
you can't
unbuildable.
expand those houses. It's right in the bylaw, it says you can't expand
But This
them.
board is needed to giving permits to doing that.
Well, again, you're gonna be talking variances, not special permits.
You're
But if you change the
absolutely- I don't even know what
bylaw,
they
you
are.
can
It
make it a
just-
special
all it
permit
does
process.
is- I don't know what the argument is to keep a map from 1969 that you can't use. We have GIS that locates everything here.
Yeah.
Boom, you lay it on there. We just did it. We voted the inland wetlands map. We changed that last year. There was no problem doing that. And that's helped a lot of people, and it helps Andrew, and, because that was an 80-foot line.
Has it hurt
That was
anybody?
Greg said it was between 7 and 90 feet wide, 70 and 90 feet wide.
Yeah.
Now we have a map that says this is where it is, but still, you still have to go prove it through the soil analysis.
Yep.
that
So
you're
has
not
that,
in it.
has that hurt anybody?
No, it hasn't yet. No, it actually helps people, because then you have the soil analysis that follows up with where you're located. All it is showing you a modern map that says this is where you are.
Yeah, no,
Really,
I'd be in favor of a new map. It's just having people
But
be
it's
able to
not,
fix
you
their
don't understand,
properties.
it's not a new map. It's
New
the
map for zoning
same
purposes.
map.
For
It's the
zoning
same map
purposes.
that was from 1969, the same government entity has updated that every year on October 1st till now. They
Yep.
just did it. That's all you're saying. The reason we're stuck here is because in 69, 70 or 71, when they voted the map in, they did not say what Greg, I don't know what the language he's using now, but it says the 2020 map and any further updates or something like that. So then if the sea level is rising, it's going to be on that map. And now we're gonna know.
Well, if there's a soil difference between an 80-foot line and the other side of the 80-foot line, then it actually might possibly be one of the legal challenges that qualifies for a variance.
I agree.
Oh, soils definitely does.
Right.
But it's easier if it's a special permit. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's just different criteria for a special permit than a variance. If
But I
you're
think-
trying to help the people.
I think this board has an obligation to the town of Marshfield to control new building in this area. And I know as a resident of Brent Rock, that I don't want the DSA to be developed.
So, I
I
hear,
know that's me personally, I should be, I guess as a board member, it's different, but I think I'm speaking for all of my neighbors and most of the town. We don't want to see overdevelopment down there, it's already, packed all summer
The
long.
town owns all that property.
What does that got to do with, they're the least person we could trust. What are you kidding?
so I would,
Hey,
I
wait, they
hear
just put
from,
you on this board, so be careful.
what I hear from
That is what-
witness here is that Situate doesn't seem to have a problem with the 72 map, you said?
They're using
Well, they have all kinds of
flooding.
problems with it.
So, but my question would be is, I'd be curious as to how many towns around us are updating every, 3, 4, 5 years. Are they all doing the
They-
69,
not
70,
every-
72? Why,
but they-
what makes us?
it would update
Can I
annually.
speak, please, Brian? I'm just trying to
Annually.
talk. What makes this so important to rush it through right now in the special, and then they pulled it for the next town meeting? If it's been 60 years so far, it's not that important. It doesn't need to be a demanded, stuffed in.
They're
to the
not
town
doing
meeting.
it, they're passing it over. But we had already agreed to discuss this because we assumed at that meeting they were gonna continue on.
Correct.
We just wanted to go over the map. Steve and I had this discussion, and we're not allowed to do it without putting it on here. We wanted to discuss it.
So you know why they passed it over, right,
Yeah.
Brian?
So you know why,
Because
exactly.
they wanna look it
Because they were
over.
Because it was gonna fail, that's
That's why
why.
they passed it
Well,
over.
that's not what I was
It was
told.
gonna
it's
fail, yeah.
Because they wanna review any language that might, if
They need
people are
two-thirds of a vote.
impacted,
There's
which
gonna be
Steve's
a huge
making.
turnout for the MBTA zoning. They know they're gonna lose, so let's put it on the annual. Same old story, nothing changes.
What I heard was different. I heard that it was because they want time to review it.
I know,
And
I
that Peter
heard it.
Moran had told them something about, you can only put so many things on the special, it has to be an emergency or something. That's what I heard.
That sounds,
And so we have about 10 other
Emergencies.
10 other
Well,
articles
what
on that
about,
special
what
that aren't
about,
emergencies
what about
in
the
my book.
people that wrote their own bylaws? Are those emergencies?
They
No.
would think so.
What?
They would think so.
I'm just saying, I guess it's
Yeah,
an emergency.
Can't go anywhere yet, you gotta close the meeting.
I know.
yeah, like
We have, Larry has work to do.
Yeah, I do. Give me a second.
It's just that the
All right.
bylaw allows 100 people to put something on there. If you get a signature of 100 people, you can put it
You can
on
get
the
it on?
special.
At a special, yeah, at a special.
An emergency.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from September
one,
9th,
yeah.
2025. Do I have a second?
Second,
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Jean Lee, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Motion to adjourn.
No.
Second?
All in favor?
calendar.
What?
The calendar.
Oh, wait, stop. Meeting in December, we have December, is it 9th? 9th and the 23rd. Jean had asked, since the 23rd is that close to Christmas, could we nix that meeting? Does anyone have a problem with not meeting on the 23rd?
No.
All right, so we won't meet on the 23rd, everyone agrees?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Agreed. Sounds good. You got that, Nance? Motion to adjourn again.
Larry Keane, aye.
Steve Lynch, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Jean Lee, aye.
Eric Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Thank you, everybody.